Hi there, this is Jennifer with Brome Fields, and today our stitch is the herringbone twill stitch, and we're going to knit it in the round. And this is the beginning row, and there is no seam. It is completely in the round, the same all the way around. So this one I was a little tricky to figure out, but once I got it, it was really easy. However, it's not very fun to, if you make a mistake, to have to go back and correct. But it's kind of obvious whenever you do make a mistake. So I have cast on 36 stitches for this sample. It is a 2-stitch increase. You want to cast on in increments of 2. I just used 36 because, as you can see, it's a tight stitch, and I don't think I could do fewer stitches in the round on a 16-inch cable. So round 1 is kind of a setup round. So we're going to start off, we're going to knit 2 stitches. We're going to yarn forward, and then we're going to slip 2, yarn back, and then repeat. So it's those 4 stitches on repeat. Knit 2, we're going to yarn forward, slip 2, yarn back, knit 2. Yarn forward, slip 2, yarn back, knit 2. And yes, I have a band-aid on my finger because this, like I said, it's a little bit of a tight stitch. And so my index finger starts hurting after a while because I use it a lot. Yarn forward, slip 2, yarn back, knit 2. So we're creating the bars that create this like horizontal chevron pattern. Maybe a sideways chevron pattern. Yarn forward, slip 2, yarn back, knit 2. Yarn forward, slip 2, yarn back. Now that's the end of round 1. And now the trick part to keeping it seamless is I remove this stitch marker. I slip 1 stitch from the left hand needle to my right hand needle. I place my stitch marker back, and then I repeat row 1. So I moved that to the right, and now I'm going to knit 2, yarn forward, slip 2, yarn back, knit 2. So whenever I knit 1, it's going to be in another knit stitch, and then this bar here, I'm going to knit that first stitch, and then we're moving that bar over to the left 1. So we're slip 2, yarn back, knit the knit stitch, knit 1 of the slipped stitches, yarn forward, and then there's that bar. We're going to slip 2 stitches and knit 2. So we're going to do this for 7 more rows. So we're going to do this left lean until we have row 8, and then, or row 9. So we're going to go all the way to row 8, and then row 9, we're going to start going backwards. So I'm going to go ahead and knit until row 8, and then I'll come back and show you row 9, 10, and 11, and 12, I believe, because you kind of have to go back and forth because you're working your way backwards. as you're working forward. So I want to show you how to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and knit to row 9, and then I'll be right back. Alrighty, so I'm back I'm on row 8, and this is my beginning round. So I'm going to show you, you can just go to any first bar that you have down here, and you can just count your bars. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And if you go to the right hand side of your right hand needle, that's the number that you're on. On the left side, where you haven't knitted yet, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I know that I'm getting ready to finish row 8. So the important parts for me to show you is where I have this transition piece. So that's where I'm going to end on one row and then start the next row. So you can see how it transitions, because as you can see, this is the beginning round and this is where our stitch marker is. So I'm moving the stitch marker as I go. So I've knit 2 stitches, yarn forward, slip 2, yarn back, and knit 2. Yarn forward, slip 2, yarn back, knit 2, yarn forward, slip 2, yarn back. So that is row 8. Row 9, we're going to start going back the other way. So we have all the way to here, and now we're going to work our way backwards, which is a little bit trickier. So row 9 says to remove the stitch marker. We're going to slip 1 stitch from the left hand to the right hand needle, place our stitch marker, and we're not going to knit 2. We're going to yarn forward, slip 2, yarn back, and then knit 2. So it's still the same stitches, we're just doing it in a different order. So you see how we went backwards on that? So we have this peak stitch, and then we're going backwards. And then we're going to just repeat. So yarn forward. So instead of this being in the stitch here in between, that doesn't make a lot of sense. So we're going to slip the knitted stitch and then slip the slipped stitch. Yarn forward. And then knit the slipped, knit the knit. All right. So now we're working our way backwards. And then I'm going to knit a little bit, and then I'll come back to show you row 10. All right, so now I'm on row 9, getting ready to do row 10. So I knit 2, slip 2, knit 2. And remove the stitch marker, slip a 1 stitch to the right, put the stitch marker back, and then we're going to repeat row 1, which is our knit 2, yarn forward, slip 2. And we're going to continue, see how now we're working backwards. So on 10, 12, 14, and 16 will be the same because we're working our way backwards. And then 9, 11, 13, and 15 will all be the same. So I will have the pattern PDF on my website that you can download with a checklist so that you can follow along. And once you get the hang of it and see how it all fits together, it does all come together. It makes sense. But until you're actually doing it, to me and for me, it just was, this one was kind of a hard one to see until I was in the middle of it. So this is the herringbone twill stitch knit in the round. So that is what it looks like. All the way without a seam. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's new stitch. It was a little bit of a little bit more than normal, but definitely that is way awesome. So I look forward to making a cowl with this stitch. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's new knit stitch, and I hope to see you guys again next week. Thank you so much for watching.